And welcome to the next level. We are happy to have you tonight, and we will dive right into things. Our ask for tonight is we're in a desert. So what are some things you might find in a desert? What might be buried under the sand that could be exposed? Something to think about. And yes, to recap what's brought us to this point, our heroes have done a lot of stuff in and around Silver Lake, gone into the Shadow Forest and helped a fort and cleaned out their mines and a bunch of other things, and decided, kind of on a whim, kind of on a quest, to trek into the desert on their way to Thurn to dispose of, in a friendly manner, the certain Firbolg that had been hunting Leon. And in the desert, they have encountered all sorts of interesting things. They have met Leon's sister, as well as a group of Cyclopses that they battled last week. And their trek through the desert continues, and we pick things up at the beginning of day 4 in the desert. I know, it's only day 4. We have many, many more days to go through the desert. Anything interesting anybody's going to try to do on day 4?
As usual, I will do my morning meditation and roll for my potions.
Alphonse is going to help you with your morning meditation.
Huh?
In seeing Jacob do this meditation every morning, Alphonse is like, he's kind of inspired. He's like, wow, Jacob, he's so spiritual, yes. But he can tell that you're like, I don't know how much Alphonse knows about why you're meditating, but he can tell that you're doing it for a reason, right? Like you're looking to get something out of it. And so he's going to start sitting down with you and meditating at the same time. He doesn't have anything to meditate on. He's just going to meditate, but he's going to cast he's going to cast guidance on you.
Oh, nice. What does that give me again? Just an extra.
Once before the spell ends, a target can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to one ability check of its choice.
Yep.
Cool.
Before or after making the ability check.
I'm gonna do it now.
Okay. Wow. Things are a little foggy this morning. Maybe it was sort of the exertion of yesterday in the battle, but you have about you have contact with Mirdu, but it doesn't last for very long. There's not sort of enough that you can really communicate through this. You're able to reach her, but there's no real depth to the communication today, unfortunately.
So I reach out and try to say, try to like, Mirdu, how long do we have? And now I'm a little panicky now that this has just gone away. I think that's also part of it. So as I come to, I see Alphonse there. I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that. Sorry, I have a lot on my mind. Yeah, Jacob right now is a little bit off, and for the day traveling, I think this will be a sense that the rest of everyone gets. And if you're looking closely at him, you'll notice him looking over his shoulder a lot more than usual, back towards the way we came.
Yeah.
Alphonse puts a hand on your shoulder and says, "That's okay. You just have to keep working at it."
I'm worried I've made a mistake. Sorry, that's nothing. It's looking like it's going to be a good day. My jug is refilled with beer. We should probably get a move on.
All right. The day traveling is like the ones before. It is delta. It is a desert and sweltering hot. I don't know how that got all confused. And by the end of the day, a few of you are starting to feel the effects of that. Can I get everybody to make a Constitution save, please?
Okay. Now remember I had mentioned, so one, I'm on a horse.
Yes, you've got advantage.
And I have shade. Okay. But then also anybody who I would have noticed struggling at any point through the day, I would also be using my floating disc so that they could have an hour of relaxation where then I would use gust to cool them.
Okay. Oh, wow.
I think Alphonse really appreciated the gusts of wind.
Yes, yes. Talon's doing okay.
Gildy didn't get as much of the wind.
Gildy, all right.
All right. With advantage, you say?
Yep.
Oh, with advantage?
No, just for,
well, for me.
Leon,
because I'm on a horse.
And has the
God.
breeze and...
Oh, God. Well...
Keeping yourself upright was very taxing.
I'm wilting in the sun.
Oh yes, Torak is doing quite fine. Gildy, Alphonse, Jacob. All right. And don't forget Belinda and Melinda. Oh no.
Righty.
I think Kess fails.
No, not Kess. She's so cool.
She is.
How could she fail?
Because dice. Her con save is her third best save. Unfortunately, it is still only a +3. Melinda, wow, Melinda's doing just fine.
He is.
And so it's, yep, they've made this trip lots of times through the desert. The twins are
right.
like, yeah.
Why couldn't I have had that role for Leon?
Because you're a giver.
All right. That was day 4. Day 4. So, day 5, the winds are picking up just a little bit. It sort of seems nice because it's, a bit of a breeze, but it's also a hot breeze and it's blowing sand everywhere. So after the first hour of travel, it's just not that comfortable anymore. But if you want to try another meditation, Jacob, you can do that before you get going.
I felt somewhat calmed by Alphonse's presence, so I will ask if he wants to join me for meditation again this morning.
Alphonse gleefully accepts.
Nice.
And also casts guidance again.
Nice. There we go. Okay. So yes, you have sort of a good solid contact with Mirdu. And yeah, she also sort of expresses a bit of a, yesterday was very strange. I could feel your presence, but it was faint and I almost saw you, but it didn't quite work. I'm glad that today is a little bit better. It has only been one day, right? Time is very strange for me.
Yeah. Hello, Mirdu? Is that you?
Calling on the phone is just so much more efficient than the whole meditation thing.
If I could have known, I'd call her.
Right.
So yesterday I was, that was me. I was very distracted yesterday. So I've been traveling through the desert. It's been 5 days since we've left Silver Lake, and I just can't get it out of my mind that I've made a mistake going on this journey. I feel that I'm risking your life by doing this. It's apparently 40 days there, however long we're going to be there, and perhaps another 40 back, then getting to the forest to get answers. And Jacob starts kind of working himself into a frenzy.
And she sort of, tries to calm you down a little bit. It's like, it's Jacob, as I mentioned a moment ago, time is very strange in this place where I am. What seems like a day for you has been, well, I can't quite tell, but it doesn't feel like that much time for me. It's these visits are really quite nice. And I know I mentioned the expert in death, but I think I also know that within you, within your memories, there is the answer you're looking for as well. And maybe spending some time focusing on that as well might help to ease your mind a little bit.
I'll try, but if you feel things are going poorly for you, you say, and I will.
I have been much eased by these conversations. These help. Thank you.
So most of the time when I meditate now, I think I'm getting good at it for the most part. But when I do it, I definitely kind of think of you and your face. Should I, and your voice and how you look. Perhaps if I think, try to focus more on myself and my own history. Because
yes, perhaps.
Because I've gotten good. I feel I've gotten good at contacting you again, and I have to admit, in the desert, this has been a little bit of an oasis for myself. It feels
in a desert.
I don't like it, but we have nearly unlimited alcohol, so
okay.
We just haven't proved that it will run out.
Well, I hope it keeps long enough to last you the trip.
I'll try the meditation. Like I said, I don't think it's going to calm me a little bit. I still have I mean, with every day that passes, I get further from the west. But I will try it, and we'll see how that goes.
All right. And she sort of reaches out and sort of lays a sort of ethereal hand on your shoulder, and it's like, you have always been a rock for me, and hopefully I can be that for you.
I'm mostly speechless at that point, because I look to Mirdu, and I think Jacob would have very legitimate worry on his face that he is currently doing the wrong thing.
And she tries to sort of ease your worries again, but yeah, by that point she's again probably starting to fade back into the darkness, and you end your meditation feeling not very calm per se, but at least having had that contact.
I wake up and thank. I feel a bit better, though not much. I once again thank Alphonse, and if he's interested, I'll kind of talk him through what I've been learning so far in meditation to help him if he wants to improve. So in the morning, as we pack up and start getting to go, I'll interact with Alphonse a little bit more on that level.
Sure, Alphonse is happy to learn, and he says, "Oh, seems like things went better for you today."
I think so. I may not know for a day or two, but hopefully we'll go get some clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that wife of yours, she gives me some issues, so I could see why you want some meditation yourself. I kind of nudge him on the shoulder.
Alphonse kind of blinks, and he's like, "I don't know what you mean. I love my wife. She's the light of my life. What do you mean you have trouble with her?"
We just jest. I think Guilty and I have come to needle each other quite a bit, and it's part of what we do. But you don't tell her that part. Just tell her the first part about how he needs to meditate to deal with it.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, as I mentioned, the day's a little less comfortable today. It's not quite a sandstorm, but there's just sort of enough of a breeze that is kicking up the sand and sort of moving it around a little bit. And that ends by about midday, early afternoon. And the twins, the guard twins, will probably sort of mention at some point that there is an oasis coming up. It's sort of a known rest stop for a lot of the caravans that go through the desert. And you should probably reach it by about, evening, nightfall that day.
All right. And if things are really uncomfortable, then I would ask about whether people can create. Is there anyone who can create water? Which undoubtedly we know by now because we've been in the desert for days. So whoever can create water, I will at one point then use Ray of Frost to make it frozen water. So then that cools everyone down.
Nice.
My jug can produce 8 gallons per day.
Yeah, there you go. So then I can just Ray of Frost and we can have nice cool ice.
No cones.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
Or we could have frozen mayonnaise. Mayo popsicles.
Yum.
Hey, we might be welcome in the desert. You never know.
It's sort of, it's sort of a thicker, maybe there's a. No, I really don't know. Okay. All right.
Mead slushies. I think mead slushies. We've got the corner on.
Yeah. And yes, indeed, as the afternoon wears on, depending on how high Ranu is flying, he can start to see the oasis in the distance.
He definitely flies high enough to see the oasis.
Yes. And we'll probably report back again while you're still a decent ways off that there are people at the oasis.
Okay. All right, then I think I will take the opportunity to use Ranu's senses and go and scout the oasis.
Okay.
From a safe distance.
You see a large group.
Okay. Do you want a perception check?
Sure. I was going to say that there's a certain amount you're just going to see because it's easy to see, but perception might give you a little bit more. That'll do. Yeah, there's a large group there. The strange thing is that you'd expect with a group this large, there would be a caravan with them. There would be wagons or sort of other items like that, but there are not. It is just a group of people that seem to be sort of relaxing around the oasis.
Okay. Are these people, are they armed? Do they have armor?
They are. They're not armed. Well, so they don't have armor. They look. Give me a history check.
History, you say? No. I'm wilting in the sun. I can't think.
That's okay. It's essentially how much experience you've had with what might have been like desert nomads. So they're dressed like people who move around the desert. They're sort of light sort of cloaks and sort of wraps and that sort of thing. But yeah, you get the impression that these are people who maybe are at home in the desert.
Okay. Then I announce to the group, we are approaching the oasis. which has a large number of desert nomads already encamped there.
Does it seem safe?
God twins, do you perhaps have more to tell us about the desert nomads? I know that they exist, and that is about all I know.
And we'll say Melinda sort of pipes up and says, was there sort of a large group of men with one woman?
Why, yes.
Yep.
Yes, there was.
Okay. And Gildy, you can make a history check as well, sort of hearing this. Yep, nope. You have never heard of this particular thing before, ever?
Gildy doesn't remember anything.
Nope. Yeah, so the guard twins sort of fill you in that there's this desert witch. She tries to sort of lure people off the path. Tells them of, great treasures and riches in the desert and tries to get them to follow her out into the wastes. And, most of the people we've heard of that ever followed her never came back.
Well, maybe they became ridiculously wealthy and went their way to greener pastures.
It could be. We're just telling you sort of what we've heard, what we've, rumors and what we've met her once coming through, and our caravan just mostly ignored her.
You try to stay ahead of the mess.
Yeah,
but
chances are she's probably going to try and sell you on some big something in the desert that has treasure or something like that, and try and get you to go off in some other direction than the known paths.
I see. Well, I think Torok will keep us on the path.
We have a mission. I suggest we stick to it.
See, told you.
All right.
Called it.
So you arrive at the Oasis, and there's indeed sort of a large group of men and sort of one woman, sort of elven looking. The woman, the rest of the men just seem to be sort of normal humans. And even as you sort of approach, the woman will probably step out a little bit from the shade of the few palm trees that are around there, and approach your group as you're arriving. Sort of, waves and like, well met, weary travelers. There's a, fine oasis here for you to enjoy, and if you're interested, I've got tales to tell of wonder and mystery in the desert.
So when Alphonse hears that, his eyes light up like a child. He's very excited about the stories.
All right.
And Turok comes over to Alphonse and goes, "Remember God Quest," and just keeps going.
Alphonse says, yes, but just stories. I'd love to hear the stories.
Yeah.
Gildy rolls her eyes a little bit. And she says, "Of course you would, dear."
So the group that's there sort of makes a little bit of room for you, and sort of around one side of the oasis. Again, you arrive just about sort of the time you're planning on stopping for the evening. The water is not necessarily cold, but it's fresh and clean.
Okay. Have we, since three of us traveled through the desert previously, have we had experience at oases?
Yep.
Okay. Is it typical that the water is just for drinking, or do people also like dip their feet in the water? Like, what's the proper etiquette at the oasis?
Water is for drinking.
Okay.
You could, maybe take a little bit out of the pool if you needed to, otherwise, cleanse a little bit. But it's not recommended that you sort of start taking out, massive buckets full to go take a bath somewhere. But yeah, definitely not done in the pool. If you can remove a little bit of water to otherwise do something a little bit, further away.
Okay.
And then it would be cleansed by the sands as it makes its way back through the
Right. We have our own source of water anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just realizing I would be able to conjure a potentially 3-by-3-foot tub that we could fill with water that people could like dip their feet in at the end of the day on a regular basis.
Yep. That's also an option.
Yeah. So I think that will be our regular thing, is that whenever we stop, it's just like poof, 3-by-3-foot tub, and then fill it with water, and we all just dip our feet in it.
Right. And as you sort of sit and rest, the woman will sort of come over, and she, probably having sort of sensed Alphonse's excitement, might, seek him out a little bit more, but is generally sort of speaking to the rest of the group about, initially telling some stories about some of the wonders in the desert, the kingdom that, once used to be here, and all of the treasures that it held, and how, those who know where to look can find such treasures in the desert.
In preparation, because Melinda and Belinda have told us about this person.
Yep.
Can we kind of do an insight check as she's spewing her stories and get a sense if she's...
Yep.
Spewing her stories. Wow.
15? Yeah. As far as you can tell, she's being a storyteller, which is to say, there's definitely truth in what she is saying. Probably also some embellishment.
Okay.
Brock's just skeptical. No reason, just skeptical.
Makes sense.
Leon believes everything she says.
It's all real.
Yeah, I'm just listening from afar, just soaking it all in.
Leon, you get sucked in by the mentions of like massive libraries and ancient knowledge, and yes.
Yeah.
Brock's hearing wah, 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 out of the way. Wah, wah.
Actually, Leon would probably also get sucked in by this was once a great place of magical power.
Yep.
Yep. But after a while, she'll sort of pause a little bit and sort of ask you, what brings you through the desert? What is it you seek? Just
Alphonse and Gildy both just look at Tor.
And Torok's like the other side.
Oh, indeed. Indeed. Is your journey far beyond the desert?
Yes.
Many, many days?
Many.
She sort of ponders for a moment. It says, there may be a place I can take you to, which would get you to where you're going far quicker.
Leon actually looks at Torok at this point and is like, Leon was all for like, no, we must slog through the desert, and now it's been 5 days, and she's like, we have slogged through the desert for long enough.
Okay, would this be another insight check to see?
Yes, it would.
All right, because that would certainly be something that's appealing to Tor.
I will let you decide what that 9 means. Does that 9 mean you entirely believe her, or that you're still skeptical?
Let's go.
I think at this point, you if Mint was looking at Tor, you could see the resolve sort of chipping away a little bit. Please explain more.
One of these places that I have found, there's a bit of a whole labyrinth full of ancient treasures, but that is not what I am speaking of. Within, but much easier to get to, there was a chamber with a circle marked out, and I have heard tell and even used it once myself to travel to distant areas. Now, I will warn you of 2 things. Number 1, there is a guardian that would need to be passed or defeated before you got to the circle. And 2, not to be distracted or dissuaded by the other charms that might lurk in the rest of the area. Many have gone in seeking a quicker way somewhere, but been distracted by what else might lie within and been caught up in the dangers that guard them as well. But if you head straight in on the path that leads direct to this circle, there should only be the one guard that you would need to deal with.
So of this place that you mentioned, I'm just curious because obviously everything else that's within it is a distraction, and then there's this transportation.
Not necessarily a distraction. There are treasures there. But if your purpose is not to seek treasures, then to you, they would be a distraction.
Okay. So you've gone there for both, for the treasure and for the circle?
I, alas, am less prepared to deal with some of the dangers within. I have braved them once.
Why only once?
The Guardian is significant. I lost a few of my followers in that encounter and would not wish to do so again.
So Rob, I made an Arcana check to know what she was talking about there with the circle.
It sounds like she's talking about some form of a teleportation circle, but one that doesn't take you to another teleportation circle.
And is that a thing that exists?
With a 28, yes and no. It is a thing that did exist. In the ancient magical times.
Okay, so then it does make sense that because this location where we are now used to be, like, it makes sense that something like this would exist in this location and be hidden somewhere in the desert. Okay, so I let everybody know later that this sounds totally legit for these various reasons, and undoubtedly bore you all with the details. Because that's how I roll.
Turok's actually going to go and pray on this.
Oh. All right. I'm trying to remember what I got you to. Was it a commune last time? One sec. Yep. So yes, you ask a single, it's usually going to be 3 questions, but I'm going to give a single question that can answer by yes or no, and you will receive a correct answer for each. So, what is your one question?
Is the witch's path the correct one?
That's tough.
You get the sense you're not necessarily asking the right question.
Is the witch's path honest?
Yes.
And Turok would afterwards also tell everyone that after Leon tells her story that he prayed and he believes the witch is telling the truth.
Excellent. We should go.
Great.
But the Turok looks at the twins and goes, "This is exactly what you told us not to do." So your advice is very important, but we have conflicting evidence, but we don't want to dismiss. Like, Turok is very concerned with just dismissing their advice outright.
Yes, but
wants to know their opinion.
If she told other people about this teleportation circle, then of course they wouldn't be seen again because they went to other locations. Her story completely checks out.
I'm wondering if this is a good time to use my gambler background feature, the never tell me the odds.
Okay.
So it says odds and probability are your bread and butter during downtime activities that involve give the chance or figuring odds on the best plan. You can get a solid sense of which choice is likely the best one and which opportunities seem too good to be true at the DM's discretion.
Oh, right. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
So this seems pretty straightforward to you. It is a long road that may or may not have dangers on it, but is a known road. Is option number one. Option number two is this shortcut, which she has told you there is at least some danger, known danger to be included there. So it's almost certain risk for a shortcut versus maybe risk for a relatively straight path. Known path.
Okay, that's kind of all internalized. But I'm going to be jumping at the chance and encouraging people. I'm all on board the teleportation plan. And so as people are talking, I'm interrupting, asking for directions, which way to go.
Gildy is skeptical. She is not a big fan of going for this like mystical teleportation thing. Like she knows how to get through the desert and that's kind of a known quantity, whereas this is like dangerous and they don't exactly know if it's even necessarily even real. So she's
would you like to make an insight check?
Yeah, Gildy will make an insight check.
I'm definitely going to question the witch about the nature of the guardian and get as many specifics get as many specifics as I possibly can.
Gildy is not rolling well.
So yeah, I'll let you decide how you want that to what that means. Whether that's you're just even more skeptical that this is definitely not the right thing, or whether you've been swayed.
Hey, Leon has backed it up 100%.
I think Gildy went into her conversation, like, to hearing the stories being like, these are just stories and this is stupid, and she was already predisposed to be like a little bit distrustful of magic. So I think that she just like basically wasn't listening and is just like hard-headed and like this isn't real and we shouldn't listen to her.
And Leon, you had asked about the guardian. He says, alas, I did not have much of an encounter with it. It was a spirit of some sort. Perhaps some ancient guardian of this place that in its afterlife felt a need to continue to do so. Again, it did kill many of my followers.
But you never saw it? Even though it killed your followers?
I was concentrating. So the door to the chamber needs to be unlocked. The locks in this place are puzzles. I was concentrating on that, and the others around me were working and fighting against the Guardian, and I, alas, did not see much of it. But the impression I got that is also that there's not much to be seen, that it is a spirit of some sort, and its powers were significant. As I said, it took many of my followers out.
If the doors are puzzles, and you've already gone through it, can you tell us how the puzzle works and what it is?
I can give you some bits of information. The puzzles are often images, and I can try and describe them as best I can. But I also get the sense that these are magical items and will reset themselves, so they may not be that much easier to solve.
Well, and I think we're more than capable of solving arcane puzzles and don't need any assistance in that regard.
And as I suspected, you would have someone in your party that is of great intelligence that would be able to complete these.
Yes, indeed we do.
Oh, thank you, Leon. I appreciate that.
Just wanted to make a joke. Well played.
Yes, so perhaps on the morrow I can lead you to this place. It is about 3 or 4 days away.
In which direction?
Almost directly southeast.
And what are you getting out of this?
I simply wish to help those moving through the desert. I like to trade stories and find out what others' paths are on and how I might help.
Seems legit.
All right, Guilty's gonna roll an insight on that.
I told you we would use all 3 maps, Rob. I told you.
All right, there it is.
That's a better insight check.
Yep. Okay, so you're listening to this last part, and you're starting to pay attention a little bit more.
Yeah.
And okay, you get this weird sense from her that, yes, she's telling the truth. This place exists. This guardian exists. Things is not necessarily going to be easy, but there is some way to get to where you want to go quicker. But yeah, especially around the, what does she get out of this? There was something she was hiding. She was not necessarily telling the truth or the whole truth, or not being entirely honest in saying that she just wanted to help people in the desert.
Okay. So this is something when like the group is together in private, Guilty's gonna say, I don't like the idea of this teleport thing, but if that's a direction everyone wants to go, I'll come along, and maybe it'll work. All right, faster trip. And then you can tell when she says like faster trip, great, she's not really happy about the faster trip. She's a ranger, like traveling is what she does.
I kind of walk up to Gildy at that point and say, I love a good long trip as much as the next person, but we kind of thought we were going to be out for 2 weeks, and it turned into 40 days. So I'm happy to get back on track in terms of how much we owe people.
Yes, and the faster we can get this done, the faster we can get back and deal with the Shadow Forest.
This is kind of our
she's
side quest,
like, okay, she does want to get back to the forest. So she's a little bit begrudgingly like, okay. But then she says, but I don't trust this witch. She said that she just wants to help us out of the goodness of her heart. And listen, I've been around the world a long time, and I think she's hiding something.
I think if we get rid of this formidable guardian that is in her way, she's probably going to loot the place.
I mean, I was thinking that perhaps she was working for the guardian.
And so trying to lead us to our deaths?
Yeah, potentially.
There are also a number of followers of hers here. If she were to lead us astray, they have us outnumbered.
Yes, but we can take them. This is not a problem. We are highly formidable. I'm noticing this is a trend where Leona's like, oh yeah, sure, this is a big problem. We got this. Clearing out the Shadow Forest, no problem. Taking on this witch, all of her followers, and this guardian, no problem. We got this.
They only outnumber you about 2 to 1.
Yes.
And Jacob, having only half paid attention, says, okay, we have to follow Leon's plans, and the plan is to take out her followers. Roll initiative.
No, that is not my plan at this time.
You sure?
Yes.
Yes.
So when Leon says that, Guilty says, well, I certainly appreciate your faith in our strength, Leon. worry about a time where we bite off more than we can chew.
Not happen.
Gildy is a dreaded ambusher. She's not a dread ambushee.
I really hope Talon does not say that.
No. No, Talon says, I don't trust gods, and I don't much trust people. That being said, I hate the desert.
Leon looks awkwardly at Torok, then looks slightly offended, and then nods in agreement. In that order to those statements.
Keep in mind with Talon's history, he just had a god.
Oh yeah,
No,
right? Like
so
Torok's all like, we're on a quest for a god, and you're like, I don't trust gods, and I'm like, oh, Torok's gonna be offended. And you're like, I don't trust people, and I'm like, now I'm offended, but I hate the desert. Okay.
I nearly added a line
gotcha.
about how, I've met a few good ones, but I was gonna leave it out.
I see.
And Torok's like bad experiences. I understand. He hasn't met my god. It's a different thing.
All right. So, what's the final verdict? We're gonna go.
Torok's position is, if we go in expecting a trap, we're in a better position.
That is true. Very true.
Yes, Gildy and Afon's house survived that assumption earlier this month.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, the house didn't per se, but you all did. All right. Assuming you mentioned this to the witch, whose name, by the way, is Katya.
We also need to pull Melinda, Belinda, S, and them. So.
All right.
All right. So actually, hold on, time out, because two things before we separate and talk to other people. One, Leon will go through her spells and say, all right, this shall not be a problem. I am able to put individuals to sleep that can deal with her followers. I am also then able to take web to trap them. I will have dispel magic. I will have remove curse, as we're going into some place that perhaps could have curses. You've seen the power of slow, and then of course there's also tidal wave. So, and I can dispel magic, which I think I already mentioned. So this is not a problem. And I know that some of you are untrusting when it comes to magic, but I assure you that it is safe and it is all about the wielder, and it is not something that you need to be afraid of. Anyone who wishes, I can certainly explain to you the concept of magic so that you can have a better understanding of it.
And actually, Tor raises his hand, and I'm proof that magic in the wrong hands is dangerous.
I certainly wouldn't have said that. We just have to point you in the right direction and be somewhat away from you when your magic goes off. But for example, Gildy, will you consent to me using magic right now?
Gildy says, well, sure, maybe not tidal wave.
No, nothing. So no, just do you consent?
Sure, yes.
Okay. We trade places. So Leon is instantly where Gildy was, and Gildy is where Leon was.
Neat trick.
Okay, Gildy is like a little bit startled, but
See, teleportation magic, not so bad.
Do it again.
All right, give me a moment. I cast Grease, and then I trade places with Talon.
Where is the grease?
Just over to the side somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
Gildy kind of grumbles, and she's like, "Well, yeah, when you're casting it."
What?
to mean like she's generally I mean, she has spells, so her relationship with magic is a little weird, where she's just like kind of generally distrustful, but like knows that in the right hands it can be powerful. But like magic from like mysterious age old.
Yes, but I will be there. I will. Don't worry.
I'm imagining like it, while Leon is saying this, I'm imagining her kind of like patting Guilty on the head.
Don't worry. I have read specific. I'm a conjurer. Teleport is a conjuration spell. I have specifically read historical documents about just such a circle as we are going. It is legit. I know about them, and I will be the one who will be transporting us, and we will not end up in water. I assure you.
And yes, just for the record, if you ask the others, the Firbolg is all for anything that gets this over with quicker. The Guard twins are skeptical of the witch and don't particularly like going off the path, but they'll follow you. And definitely, I agree with the whole be prepared for a trap. And Kess is like, this sounds like fun.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Melinda Guard could probably be convinced pretty quickly. Considering how low her wisdom is, she'd be like, no, this is terrible. No, but there's a thing. Oh, that sounds reasonable. Kind of one of those.
Yeah, well, and it's probably the low wisdom has led into the bit of like superstition around the witch and distrust and that sort of thing. And yeah, maybe you can get rid of that. Yeah. All right. So, anything else you want to discuss or work around this before we continue?
I just feel like I want to make sure that it's clear to everyone. Leon is completely aware of the fact that we may be being led into a trap. And she's just like, yeah, that's cool. We can deal with that. It's not a problem.
All right.
I saw that possibility. We're good.
Okay. So, that's what I forgot. That's okay. I can do that during the break. Speaking of which, the next morning you head out on a different path now, on sort of not the known route through the desert. A few days trekking sort of southeast. And yeah, we will take a break now before we get into the rest of the interesting stuff that's going to happen after the break. And we shall be back in a moment to see what that interesting stuff is. All right. Take care. We'll see you in 5 or 10. Hello, and welcome back to the next level, where we are trekking to the desert, and we're going to find out what interesting things happen as we're traveling. I'm not going to go into too much stuff for each day, but I know that Jacob will be doing some meditation as these days go through. So let's get just a couple of rolls from you and see sort of how those go in general.
I'm going to assume that my new meditation buddy is practicing it hard at work.
Yes.
Yes.
1 and 2.
Oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, you're meditating and focusing in sort of on yourself and the sort of the gap that is your memories and the things you have remembered and all the things about Myrda that you've learned, and you're trying to sort of go back and go back and go back. And what comes to you, we'll say on the second day of doing this. The first day you felt like you were getting so close to something, and the second day you sort of break through is that very first time you met Mirdu. You were playing amongst some ruins outside of your village, and that's where she appeared. And she had mentioned something about not being able to leave these ruins, although eventually she was able to. And there was a symbol, something that you had sort of seen and thought was interesting, but hadn't necessarily paid that much attention to, but it's coming back to you now as something that sort of rings with importance. And I'll draw it out fully for next week. I don't sort of have it ready, but essentially imagine sort of a roughly circular symbol with 3 sort of swirling lines coming out from a center point and sort of growing as they do that. And this symbol was fairly prominent. It was sort of in a couple places, a couple different areas around these old ruins. And the thing that you remember, so you sort of remember the symbol as one thing, but also the sort of other thing that is Mirdu mentioning that this was once a temple.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that symbol being particularly important and connected to Mirdu in some way.
Yeah, she's mentioned something about those ruins. It wasn't where she woke up or where she woke it. If I wrote that correctly.
Well, not the ruins where you woke up.
Oh, okay.
Right. This was the ruins where you met her as a child.
Okay.
Which is a different place. And that's where these symbols were. The ruins where you woke up was sort of an old ruin of a probably sort of a much larger sort of compound of some sort. But yeah, where you originally met her as a child, there was this sort of symbol that was coming up and was a temple of some sort, an ancient temple of some sort.
Cool.
Yeah.
When I come to, I kind of excitedly jump up and kind of hug, give Alfonso a huge hug, and I kind of excitedly call everyone over, and I immediately before the vision kind of fades, draw out on the sand the symbol that had come to me, and I ask anyone in the group if they are familiar with the symbol that I just drew.
All right. Everybody can make religion or history check, whichever is higher.
Oh. Nice. I think I'll be doing a history check myself.
Nice.
Alphonse is just very excited for me.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
He is. He's very happy for you. He's like, that's a pretty symbol. I have no idea what it is.
Hey, doesn't he have a wisdom modifier? How can he possibly get a 3?
I'm assuming that's a 1 + 2.
That was a 1 + 2.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
His history and his religion are both +2.
Yeah. Oh, Gildy.
Gildy does a little better.
All right. So I'm going to say, feel free to roll for Melinda and Belinda as well. In fact, I'll give just a quick check for Cass. I don't think she has anything along those lines, but I'll double check. History, no. Religion, no.
I totally expected Melinda to get a natural 20.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, that's impressive.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a really pretty symbol.
What about the witch?
Oh, yes.
Because I don't think I would have been of sound enough mind to try to keep this from people.
She is intrigued, but does not. There's no sort of recognition that you see come to her. So Gildy and okay, we'll do Leon first. Leon, you have read a lot of books. You have researched a lot of history of various different types. You remember this symbol from some ancient religious text, but the context isn't quite coming to you. You know you've seen it before, but it's a very obscure, like ancient god of some sort. And you're like, I don't know. I can't quite remember the details. Gildy. You have traveled around a lot. In fact, I'm going to take a look quickly at your little map of the places you've been.
At Gildy, she gets around.
Guilty. Yeah, where's that map?
That's what the brooch of stamina is for.
Well played.
That's right.
So I'm going to say that, you were in Haram, traveling through that region. Again, this was a long time ago in your sort of younger travels. You were coming down from the north, from Dumal, from Njordheim. You passed through Haram, and you passed through this village, and you now actually, given the description that Jacob is giving you, you're like, I may have actually been to your village. I may have actually been to this temple. And yeah, you remember seeing this. You remember this sort of these ruins, and unfortunately, you don't have any sort of context. You've got like sort of a lot of history that you are aware of, but you're probably roughly in the same boat as Leon in terms of, this is for an ancient god. You having seen the ruins, give me one sec. I'm going to give sort of a rough sense of timeline.
What location is this history of? I just realized I have advantage on some history checks.
Oh, yeah.
Is it the Hanter Mountains, Rukeen, or the Dalvior Hills?
No.
Okay. And I just remembered I have advantage on history for the Haramadin Desert.
Oh, that could come in useful.
Yeah.
Give me one sec. Where's the timeline?
Because of all that reading I did at the temple when we were there.
Yes. Oh.
I knew it would come in handy.
So, very early in the Age of Wonders, which is roughly, the Age of Wonders began 3,200 odd years ago, 3,300 odd years ago. So, roughly like 2,000 and a bit years ago is, given what you saw at the temple and sort of what you think of the symbol, you think that's when this area was in prominence. And that's when that temple probably would have been in use. It's about 2,000 years ago.
So I hear about, so she knows potentially the location of the temple that matches the symbol.
Yeah.
So I look around and I'm like, okay, it's a lot to ask, but I have a place I'd like to visit after this quest is done. And I look over at Torak, and it's a god quest.
There you go.
Leon rolls her eyes at Jacob. Oh. Not necessarily like, not in his face, but just while he's making ridiculous noises at Torak, she's behind him rolling her eyes.
Okay. And then later on that same day, so we'll say this is the late in the second day out from the Oasis. Can I get everybody in the group just to give me a D20 roll, straight D20 roll? Mint.
Ooh, I did good. Or I did bad. I hope I did good.
So it's Talon, you rolled the 18?
Yep.
And Mint.
Okay. Do we need to roll them for the guard twins?
Yeah, sure.
And either Gildy or Alphonse can roll well, not both ever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, so
that's why they're such a good pair, because together they always roll well.
Yeah.
Okay, so
sorry, I didn't expect it to give me a +2 because I didn't. Oh, maybe I hit the wrong one.
That's fine.
But it's a 17.
17 was the magic number. So
Melinda Guard for the win.
So Melinda, Mint, and Talon, I think you rolled the 18. You are all close enough to the magic number. The three of you can all make a dexterity saving throw.
That's not a good thing.
No, no, it's not.
What?
Wait,
The rest of us don't get to make a saving throw.
Oh,
That's right.
Does Melinda get advantage because she had exactly the number?
Oh, does this? I can't be surprised. Does that count in this?
No.
Okay.
This is a surprise, but it's not like a surprise attack, and it's not anything directly affecting Torok, because Torok was one of the ones.
To make a saving throw, but it's not very good.
Okay, so Melinda, Mint, and Talon. Okay, so Melinda deftly dances out of the way. She is used to the dangers of the desert. However, Mint and Talon, the sand underneath your feet just sort of slips out from underneath you as you're walking along. You get almost stuck in what you assume is sort of quicksand for a moment, but it's even faster than that, and it sort of sucks you down. And for the rest of you, those two just disappear as a sort of a hole opens up in the desert.
Lightning sand.
Yep. Now, you can still see down the hole.
Oh no, how far
Talon
down?
and Mint. Talon, you can slow fall.
I cannot slow fall.
No. Luckily,
Also,
I
I'm
did not
shorter.
roll super high for damage. So 13 is the falling damage
Okay.
as you fall 50 feet onto roughly like a pile of sand. It's not, a hard floor or anything. There's just sort of more sand down here.
A question before that happens.
Yep.
So I do have Feather Fall as a spell, as a reaction. Yeah. I imagine maybe I'd need like a perception to see if that happened first.
Yeah, I'd say, because you need to see the people who are falling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, give me a perception check. Because they sort of disappeared from view, so it's how close you might have been to them, and can you see down, and yeah.
And I'm just double checking. We did take a long rest, but I have a point of exhaustion, correct?
Oh, that's the other thing I've been doing. No, the exhaustion goes away when you take a long rest. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll say you were right next to them, but otherwise did not fall down the hole, Jacob. So if you want to use Feather Fall, you can.
I will react and cast Feather Fall. So I believe it's up to 5 falling creatures.
Yep. So both of you are sort of neck deep in sand, and then past the sand, and then in free falling air, and then you're just floating gracefully down. And you land lightly on this nice pile of sand. And as you float gracefully down, you actually have a little bit more time to look around you. And you are in what must have been once some massive dome of some sort. Oh, geez, maybe. Yeah, no, we'll leave it as it is. Yeah, massive dome of some sort, like 50 feet tall. You can see like there's the pile of sand beneath you, but then sort of there's some stone floor sort of towards the edges where the sand sort of has not come down through this hole. And there's this big mural that sort of encompasses the entire sort of sides and what remains of the roof of this entire domed area of what looks to be some great, epic, massive battle, some magical battle of some sort, definitely sort of great swirling, magical forces being used. Yeah, and it's just sort of this fascinating sort of, panoramic of almost like you're inside this battle as it's sort of raging around you.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Is everything all right down there? I call down into the hole from astride my horse.
Alive? So far, so good.
Can I make any kind of a history check or anything to have an idea about what's going on? Sweet.
Yep. You've got an advantage on that. You know about the Thrahamidine Desert?
Yay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there used to be sort of civilization here. You're figuring that right now, like sort of given what they're describing and maybe what you can see, sort of a little bit of looking down, is that the city, a city, has been completely buried in the sand. This is some ancient chamber, or you're not quite sure like what the structure would have been, but that is otherwise, depicting some battle from probably thousands of years ago. They used to be in the heart of this once lush sort of countryside. The city here that depicted this as part of its historical recountings.
Okay. I'm going to ask the witch, might this be part of the subterranean maze of which you spoke?
No. At least if it is, then the labyrinth is far more vast than I had assumed. We're still a couple days from our destination.
I see. I have to propose that we check this out.
All right. It's easy enough to get some ropes out and sort of lower people down in. It is about a 50-foot drop. Well, we'll say about 40-foot drop we'll say 50. We'll say it's like a 60-foot high dome, but there's about 10 feet of sand at the bottom. So about a 50-foot drop to the sand. And if a few people want to go down in and look around, you can do that. And very quickly, just sort of described, there are a couple entrances, sort of looks like one maybe at each sort of cardinal point that unfortunately you cannot leave. They are filled in with sand, but you can sort of move them away and see that there was one sort of an archway of a door there. If you move some of the sand away from sort of the floor was, you can see that there's sort of, it's not part of the mural, but there's sort of a large mosaic on this stone floor, sort of intricate patterns and like small little tiles. And anybody who wants to can give me a perception check. Anybody who's gone down and is looking around.
All right. Yeah.
Against my will, but yes.
I think
Tark will stay guarding up top.
Yeah.
Gildy would have stayed up, but Alphonse totally would have gone down.
I'm also going to check one thing with my experimental elixirs of the day.
Oh, sure.
Nope. Never mind. But I'll be going down.
So Leon remains astride her horse after it's like, looking down, figuring out the distance, being like, oh, this is going to be a pain. And then people are using ropes, and then it's very like, oh, ropes.
So manual.
Exactly. And then is like, oh, wait. And then just sits astride her horse as Ranu flies down the hole.
There you go.
And Ranu goes down while Leon stays sitting astride her horse.
Oh, perception check.
13, 16.
I forgot mine. Sorry.
Min's paying close attention because she just fell down here.
17, yeah.
Apparently Leon is slightly overwhelmed by the majesty that is. She probably just gets sucked into the mural and just sits there observing the mural. Ranu's just sitting there turning its head like the full all the way around, just like, oh.
You can tell the story in real time. So Mint and Jacob, almost at the same time, Jacob, a little bit before, you find something that's mostly buried underneath this central thing of sand. And as you you can tell that it's sort of sticking out, that it's a different sort of shaped object. It's not part of the floor, that sort of thing. And you can sort of quickly brush some sand away from it. And it's a good sized box that probably like 2 feet by 2 feet by like 6 to 8 inches. And there's a nice, like incredibly nice sort of scroll work on it that's sort of just a little bit faded by, blasting sands over the years, but it's actually held up relatively well. There's like bits of inlaid gold through some of the scroll work as well. And of course, there's a lock on this box.
So the first thing I'm going to do, actually, while I was looking around, I would have cast Detect Magic. I'm not going to do the ritual version, just the regular.
Yep. And
is the box locked? Also,
the box is locked.
Okay.
I'm going to say that you do detect magic, and that's how you found the box. Something within the box.
Okay,
Not
so
the box
not
itself.
the box itself.
Yeah.
Okay, time to turn my Rubik's Cube into a set of lockpicks.
Nice.
And my proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make that uses your proficiency with a tool. So I believe then... Oh, also, and I had switched to my Gloves of Thievery.
Yep.
So I believe this is the correct modifier. Jeez.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that'll do. You deftly, pick the lock or otherwise open it, and the box opens up, and there inside is, you gauge to be probably a 2,000-year-old spell book.
Burn it!
On the cover,
This would burn well.
there's a symbol of what looks like 3 sort of water droplets in a rough triangle, but the water droplets are sort of jagged, almost as if they're frozen. That's the symbol that's on the front of the spell book.
Attempts to book. What else is in here? Is the book radiating magic?
Yes.
That's not. Is that usual?
No.
I'm like, Leon, do spellbooks radiate magic? Asking for a friend.
Which point the owl comes down, yes. Yeah, spell books generally don't radiate magic, but this one does.
Okay, so with my terrible perception check,
Yep.
has Jacob successfully gotten my attention and I realized that there was a spell book?
Yes.
Oh, okay then. So Leon then actually disappears from the top of her horse, reappears for a moment in midair, and then disappears in a puff of mist and appears beside Jacob.
Let's not touch it at the moment. It's giving off some magic.
Leon basically gets down there, goes, "Eee!" and then picks up the spellbook after examining the cover and identifying, like, does she know anything about the
symbol?
Yeah.
Give me, I don't know if you have I know you have advantage on some magical things. I don't have the list in front of me. It is definitely an Arcana or History check.
I will do the same thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have advantage for magical symbols, magical traditions, or conjuration spells.
Huh. Sure, it's not quite any of those, but it's also fringing on a bunch of those, so I'll give it to you this time.
Alrighty.
Where am I looking here? There it is. Uh, 23 and 26. All right. And Jacob,
24.
was it 2024?
Just 24.
24.
I didn't have advantage.
Okay. So 24 and 26. That'll do. Really? Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to say that you both recognize this. As the symbol of Rashadar. So it's RAH. who was a very powerful wizard who lived in the Age of Wonders several thousand years ago. This sort of connects through with what you know of the Ramadine Desert, Leon, and so your studies and what you've read about that. He was essentially a semi-immortal king of the empire that led this area, that ruled this area.
I'm pretty sure I got the first syllable of "we should be careful, it's enchanted" out before Leon grabbed it. Powerful mage, spellbook of powerful mage of...
Yeah. So, did you grab the book?
I mean, so...
Yes.
Looking at that and seeing it in this ancient magic and everything like that, would my first thought be, oh, I should be careful? Or would my first thought be, oh my goodness, I'm peeing myself because this is ancient magic, the likes of which I have dreamed of touching for my whole life?
You tell me.
Well, okay. Would it be stupid to touch the book?
Give me an intelligence check.
Okay.
And this is not necessarily as to whether it's going to be stupid to touch the book. This is how much you sort of overheard about Jacob talking about things before you came over, and sort of did you just hear spell book and then see the symbol and that sort of thing, which it sounds like you did. You did not really hear anything else about it being
She
enchanted.
fangirled the heck out of that book.
Yeah, basically, Ranu came down, saw the mural, and was like, "Oh, mural." And then I heard, "Oh, there's a spell book." Looked, and I'm like, "Oh, a spell book? Oh, it's this person's spell book." Yeah, I'm grabbing the spell book.
Okay.
Oh, Leon, we hardly knew ye.
That's the worst that could happen.
You could become pure magic.
Okay.
Let me see what reaction spells I have available to me right now.
You have the Hat of Pigeons.
Oh,
That
nice,
is
yes.
the ultimate reaction.
Oh, this is...
How many hit points do you have, Leon?
Oh, man. I have 24.
All right. Leon picks up the book, sort of screams and writhes and shudders as if racked with pain, drops the book as they fall dead.
Hold on.
Wait, what?
What?
I can... No, because I have the ring. I have the very familiar ring.
That is true. Remind
And
me
it's-
how that goes.
So it's because it's one damage source, I can choose for Ranu to basically go poof instead of me taking the damage.
I'm going to read that ring. Just give me 1 sec, because I'm not sure if it had to be an attack or not.
Yeah. As a reaction, the wizard can sacrifice the familiar to reduce all the damage taken from one source to 0.
All right. That does sound like it will work.
Yep. So undoubtedly screams, and then Ranu goes, pop.
explodes.
Oh,
Oh, poor Ranu.
oh. Is Ranu ever going to forgive you for that?
Yeah, I can summon Ranu again.
Cheerful news, we don't need rations tonight.
So the 68 damage you just took,
Yay!
Oh, sweet Butterly.
Holy
Which-
shit.
in some weird knowing, as you realize you aren't dead, you realize was the Finger of Death spell.
Right.
Yeah. Which is good, because you would have risen at the start of your next turn as a zombie.
Cheated death for the second time.
If anyone can do it, it's Leon.
This is why I'm like, no, it's fine, guys. We'll be fine.
Yeah. But you figure maybe you might want to do some more research before you touch the book again.
Oh, so this is like I have to put the book down again, or else?
You let the book go when you died, or when you were about to die.
Okay.
Am I still detecting magic on the book?
Alphonse
it's
was
still magical.
extremely startled And so he's going to run over and he's going to be like, is everyone okay? And he's like ready to cast some healing spells.
The moment Alphonse asks if everyone is okay, Mint just automatically, without thinking about it, just points straight at Leon. Like, just check with her.
Leon turns,
Go that way.
Leon turns bright red. All right.
You
Okay.
figure you can use a mage hand to probably, pick it up and put it back in the box.
Well, I'm going to cast Dispel Magic on it.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, may not have been prepared for that.
Oh, yeah.
No, you can do that.
This may be bad.
All right, fine. I'll take 10 minutes. I'll take 10 minutes. I will cast Detect Magic. I will examine it to identify what kind of magic it is and make sure that I'm not going to harm it by casting Dispel Magic on it.
Or release something else.
Yeah, there is moderate enchantment and high level necromancy.
Okay. So, yeah, I'll cast Dispel Magic to remove said enchantments upon it and make it safe for me to touch it and get it all the delicious spells that are inside.
All right.
Wait, does magic have flavor?
Yes.
It does for Leon, that's for sure.
Oh my.
Okay.
Oh,
Anybody hey Alphonse, would you mind guiding my ability to spell the magic, protecting the spellbook, please?
Alphonse says absolutely and casts guidance.
Huzzah. Not gonna do anything.
Wow.
That's okay. I can try again. Which I do.
Yeah, you get the added D4.
Oh, I know. I figure the DC is going to be higher than 10. Because the DC is 10 plus the spell's level. So I could have dispelled a cantrip with that roll. Okay, so I try again. Oh my goodness. I try a third time. Yay.
Okay.
Hold on. The total. Oh, it's 19.
All right. That was what you needed. It was a 19.
Yay.
Yay.
All right. You have dispelled the magic on the book.
Burned all of my third level spell slots to do so, but I did it.
All right. So it is no longer radiating magic.
Right. So now I will attempt to pick it up again. Just using Mage Hand.
Mint comes up to Leon and starts like kind of tugging on her sleeve.
Give me 1 sec.
Yes.
Because there was a couple effects on it.
Right, but doesn't Dispel Magic remove all of the effects?
If it's 4th level or lower, it only removes 1 effect. Or sorry, 4th level or higher, it only removes 1 effect.
Oh. Okay, well, I knew there was enchantment and necromancy, and I know I only succeeded once, because the other times I rolled pitifully, so...
It is, if you try Detect Magic again, it will probably now only be doing enchantment.
Okay, then I will wait and try dispelling more magic before I attempt to touch this thing.
All right. But yeah, you can still pick it up with a mage hand, that sort of thing, and otherwise put it back in the box so you don't have to worry about,
yes,
touching it.
And then take it with me and hold it, basically like cuddle it.
Yep.
You don't even understand.
Yep. Give me an investigation check.
I can do that.
Is it for investigating the book?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, there we go. I can roll well for investigation.
All right. There is no visual way that you can see to open this book. So in the way that sort of some old, books have sort of the clasps that come around the unbound side, it definitely has those, but it doesn't, there's no key, there's no, like, you can't even really tell where the hinge is. You can't see any way to open this book.
Okay. It's a puzzle. I will solve it.
Yeah.
Or die trying.
Yeah. So some things you need to figure out. Okay. Other than that, the area that you're in, you can explore a little bit, but otherwise find nothing else of note. You have the sort of memories of this, fantastical mural of the battle around you. You have people help you out from the cave and are able to otherwise continue on.
I do the double teleport out again.
Yeah. All right.
Because ropes are for suckers. I don't say that. Leon only thinks it. She doesn't say it. I didn't do my Leon voice.
All right. Yeah. So that was the thing I had you roll during the intermission. It was whether you were going to get that book or something else.
Yeah. That book.
Yep. The reason I made you roll it. Okay.
Yay.
So
11. I'm so glad I rolled the D12.
So on midday of the fourth day out from the Oasis, you come to this chasm in the desert that has a stone bridge that crosses it. Roughly, how long is this?
Okay. So this is the next day?
50 feet, 2 days later.
2 days later?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will have potentially cast Dispel Magic 6 times. Can we assume that I've removed the enchantment from the spell book? Or do you want me to roll 6 times?
Well, give me an intelligence check.
Oh, it was so close to being an 18. And then it became a 4.
I'll give you advantage on, essentially you can roll a couple of times because you've been studying the book, I'm assuming, over a couple of days.
Yep.
That sort of thing.
Nope.
Okay. All right. You cast your Dispel Magic. You have eliminated the enchantment on it.
Okay. And I take it that does not allow me to open it. Like now it has no magic on it, so it would be safe to touch it, but I'm still not able to just open it. And now I have to try and figure out how to open it.
Correct.
Okay.
For future reference, after you will have studied this book for several days and or weeks, you will realize that the enchantment spell was probably what opened it.
So now I've removed the way to open the book?
There are probably other ways, but you're probably going to need to do some research.
Oh no. I do not tell my companions that I have made this blunder. All right.
Right.
So I think something important to note is that everybody will eventually notice that Leon doesn't summon Ranu because I don't have the material components needed to cast the Find Familiar spell.
All right. It might be a while before you get to a place that has them.
I know. Oh, I know. So it didn't kill me, but it has definitely negatively impacted. This book has screwed me over.
So yes, you come to the chasm and the stone bridge, about 5 feet wide, about 50 feet long. And on the other side, about, how far away is that from the end of the bridge? About 60 feet away from the end of the bridge, you can see there's a cave entrance. And that is where the witch is telling you to go, where Katya is telling you you need to go. And she and her followers have sort of followed you this far. And yeah, everyone is sort of waiting at the bridge to see what happens next.
Lead on, fair witch.
Sort of nods to you, and yeah, her and her followers will make the crossing over the bridge. Yep, and they all make it. There's a bit of a breeze across this cavern. It's not that bad, but you see a couple of them that sort of are a little freaked out about the height and that sort of thing, and sort of stagger a little bit. They all manage to make it across just fine. And who wants to go first?
Now, is this?
Oh,
bridge...
it's about probably a 120, 150 foot drop.
Okay. And is the bridge? Hold on, I need to double check here.
Did they go across as a group or like single file? Or
they went across single file, one at a time.
Okay.
Turok would be willing to try it first.
All right.
We can get, if we want to get a group going, I can, with Featherfall, it can affect up to 5 people at a time. So if we get a few people, just a little more efficient that way.
Yeah, like in a line that are close together. Yeah.
I'll go with Torok.
All right. So Torok, Jacob, anybody else in this?
Now, do I figure that my horse, who is a quasi-real horse-like creature, does this bridge look like it would give out under the weight of such a creature?
No. This looks like a pretty sturdy bridge.
So it's totally. So then I would then grandly, following behind Torok and Jacob,
okay.
I would grandly cross on my steed.
Anybody else?
Talon would go in the next wave.
Okay.
I'm okay going wherever people want me in the group. I'm not picky.
Do you want to go with Torok? You usually do.
I do usually, but then Jacob jumped all over that, which surprised me.
You can still be in the same group with Torok. It's just...
Mint's going to sulkily walk behind Torok because she didn't get to say it first.
Anybody else going in the first group?
Gildy and Alphonse will go with Talon in the second group.
Okay. And we'll say Kess. We'll try in the first group. All right. Can I get... How do I want to do this? Can I get a wisdom saving throw?
From all of us?
Yep.
Okay.
That is currently crossing. Or from everyone,
yep.
Everyone.
Everyone currently crossing. Sorry.
Everyone currently crossing.
Is this charm?
Sorry, in the first group or the second group? Both?
This is the first
Just
group.
the first group. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this charm?
No.
Darn.
So 14,
Oh.
9.
Hmm.
5.
Wow. Wow.
We're good.
Yeah. And Mint, did you roll?
Sorry.
We're a strong-willed group.
Yes.
Show them how it's done.
I'm still looking for the will. Is it will or wisdom, though?
Wisdom saving.
Okay, for some reason my brain got stuck on the word will. I do apologize.
That's okay. Previous systems of this willpower saving throw, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Boop. 20. I'm on the screen. Boop. Boop. Not terrible.
12. Okay. So, Leon and Torok, can you give me a dexterity saving throw? You have been a bit affected by the height, and you're a little unsteady on your feet.
So I get advantage on dex throws.
It keeps doing this where it's like 17 or 18? No. This time it was 17? No, 7.
Well, 10 was all you needed.
Yay.
It's a relatively easy. It's a 5-foot wide bridge. You're not walking a plank here, so
I
you're riding a horse too. So
I grasp tightly to my.
yes.
I grasp tightly to Jacob, the horse, not Jacob
Oops.
the person.
Nope.
Oh, what's going on?
Slash
Read
roll.
the brackets.
Thank you. And the brackets, thank you. That's what I get for doing this on the fly.
2.
What?
Really?
No, that's not right.
Keep high plus.
So I'm doing something wrong here. That was I had an advantage roll set aside for this. 2d20, keep high.
High +1.
You keep highest
No,
one.
it's keep high 1, not keep high +1.
There you go.
And then add a +2.
Okay, so it's a 12.
Okay. So yes, you're fine. All right, but yes, you can. For those not crossing, you can see Torek and Leon sort of get a little bit shaky, but manage to cross just fine. All right, so that is Mint and Leon and Torek and nope, not Talon, Jacob. And these guys are on the other side. All right. So, and Kess. And did Kess
And
wisdom?
Edgar.
Oh, dexterity. Nope. Anybody want to save Kess? Actually, can Kess save herself? 1 sec.
So Cass is falling?
I'm going to find out in a second.
Okay.
Kess has potentially some ways to help herself. But yeah, she failed both of the rolls. I'm assuming... No, actually, she didn't. Never mind. I forgot she had a +6 to her wisdom saving throw. She rolled 2 4s, so she's fine.
She looks over the side and is like, I've been higher.
No, I mean, she just made the saving throw. She looks over the side going, all right, I'm going to keep going, but I'm steady. All right. Next group. So I guess it's across the other side.
I mean, based on the numbers, I assume it's just the rest of us.
Yep.
All right. I'm actually going to stay like 30 feet. Actually, you can remove Ranu because Ranu's not with us.
Oh, yeah.
Poor Ranu.
Ranu was tragically sacrificed.
No, Ranu's fine. It's just Ranu's... And I make sure that everybody understands that Ranu's not dead. Ranu's still alive and well, just on a different like on their home plane. Because Ranu is not an owl. Ranu is actually a celestial spirit who takes the form of an owl. Ranu is fine.
So Ranu's on vacation?
Yes.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Did Ranu have tasty wings? when
I don't think you could.
Ranu didn't explode, they just disappeared. They just pooped out of existence. So I'm going to stay like 30 feet on the bridge, kind of watching everybody as they come across.
Yep.
Because I can potentially run out and like save them from certain death.
The Fearbolt makes it across. He horribly failed his wisdom saving throw, but made his dexterity saving throw. So he was very shaky crossing.
That could have been... We could have been like, well, I guess we can go home now.
Oh, God.
But then I would have been like, my manacles. No.
Priorities.
So,
this...
Alphonse, Gildy, Talon, and the twins.
Is this a saving throw against being frightened? Because the halflings are brave.
That's
they get advantage.
True. I would allow that in this case.
Okay.
Oh, goodness. It's a wisdom save, you say?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, indeed.
So, one of the twins has failed. But makes their dexterity saving throw.
Melinda Guard is amazing.
Yep.
When I roll for Leon, I roll crap. But whenever I roll for Melinda, it's like
so
17, 18.
So Belinda is like unsteady but like sure on her feet, and her sister's like, yeah, just get back on the foot and go.
Let's go. It's not that high. It's fine. Look, it's a lovely view. Actually, that's probably it. Melinda's probably like, ooh, look at that lovely view. And Belinda looks and is like, and then almost falls over the side.
Yep. Gildy and Alphonse, no problem at all. And Talon, was that Talon's throw?
Those are Talon's before, yeah.
Oh, okay, so sorry, it was
Talon's
Talon.
unsteady, but then his dexterity saving.
Yes, yeah.
Belinda's wisdom.
Okay.
Not good.
So here we go. We'll see if she has to be
Oh,
saved by her
wait.
sister.
So, no, as Alphonse is going to use guidance, I think.
I'm going to say in this case, it's
okay.
Yeah, you would have to pick who you're putting guidance on. You couldn't put it on everybody. You can select just one person that you know is going to fail.
I mean, like I guess that's true. I was gonna say if he sees someone who's like looking like whoa, he can be like, hey, it's fine, don't worry, we got all this space here.
So yes, a dexterity saving throw for Belinda.
1 and a 1.
Okay. Yep. Melinda, I will assume, was close to her sister. I will give you an extra dexterity saving throw to catch your sister before they fall off.
Okay. How close are they to the end? Because Leon is 30 feet on the end. Are they within 30 feet of Leon?
Let me see. I will roll 5d10 and see how far across they are.
Roll high. Roll high.
With a roll of 1, she probably didn't make it very far.
10, 12, 15 feet. So she is there.
Oh, so really far away from Leon.
Yeah.
All right. So it looks like it's all up to Belinda Guard. Or Melinda. Okay, and it's another dex saving throw?
Yep. Just to sort of reach out and bring her back onto the path, which is sort of what we were talking about earlier.
All right.
Since we mentioned that as being a thing, yep, you're like, oh, come on, sis. There you go. Just gonna keep a hold on her collar and guide her along.
Also, just barely in range of my feather fall, so
yeah,
there's her backup.
There you go. All right. Oops. All right. Everybody makes it across just fine.
Yay.
And yes, you sort of head over towards the cave, which is sort of at the top of the screen, the top of the map there. There's a little sort of black spot. You can sort of head over and investigate that.
Leon takes note of the people who seem to falter and like they might fall for the trip back.
The trip back?
Oh, right. We're teleporting from here someplace else.
That's optimism.
That's right.
No, I forgot. I thought we were coming here to do a thing and then going, but no, we're going here to then teleport.
Gildy, assuming you get close to the entrance of this cave, you've got a really good dark vision. You can see that relatively quickly inside the cave, like the sand goes in a little ways, but then it becomes less of a cave and more of a carved, squared tunnel with like stone tiled floor.
Okay.
And yeah, the witch is like, I will leave you here. I hope you find what you are seeking inside. Again, the straight path through, unless you wish to be distracted by the temptations of the treasures and other such within. But I believe that is not what you are seeking.
Okay, so Gildy doesn't trust her.
Yep.
And so can I roll an insight on whether let me think of a specific thing Gildy's trying to determine. Gildy would like to try to determine if she thinks that she's telling the truth about the way to our, like, the straight path, if that's the right way.
Yep.
Insight. Go.
13. That's okay. Yes, you believe that she is telling the truth, that you will get to where you want to go by just going straight, and that if you are essentially, she says, when you come to the first chamber, go straight across it, don't go to the door on the left. That's what she means by sort of the straight path. And she believes and sort of seems to be truthful about the fact that that will get you where you want to go.
Okay. So Gildy's gonna say, you're not You're not gonna come in as well?
No, we do not need to go anywhere at this time. We will leave you here.
All right.
Well, there's lots of treasure there. I mean, if you believe that we're able to defeat the Guardian, then wouldn't you want to take advantage of some of this treasure? I mean, you said you've been here before looking for that treasure.
Defeating the Guardian will get you to the circle. It will not get you to the treasure.
Okay. Gildy still doesn't trust her, but she's going to drop it.
Yeah. The treasure is
interrogation.
The treasure is if you go left. If you go straight, you will hit the Guardian and then the circle. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for your assistance. And we wish you well in your travels through the desert.
And to you as well.
I'm going to offer a 10 gold coin tip to the witch for her assistance.
Oh, she very much appreciates that.
All right, onward.
All right.
Leon definitely has a bit of a disheartened kind of looks around and is like, oh, and then goes in, having to use her own senses like a sucker.
And we get to the entrance to the caves and the tunnels beyond. It is 9:30. I was not necessarily thinking of going much later past this. We are at an interesting stopping point at this point. We can go a little bit further in and probably be fine and stop before 10. How are people feeling?
Yeah, I'm good for going.
Okay.
All right. We'll go at least a little bit further on.
Are we on the third map now?
You are on the third map.
Yeah, I told you. I told you we would get to all three maps.
All right.
You doubted me.
So, yes, you arrive in a tunnel that's roughly, once you're inside the cave and sort of get into the actual tunnel portion of it, it's about 10 feet wide and goes on for about 50 feet before it turns to the left.
Which said to stay on the path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you can see that the tunnel sort of goes in that direction.
Yeah. So Gildy suggests that she go ahead to scout a little bit since she is invisible in the darkness.
Yep.
Ooh, and I give Torok the little
the light?
rope. Yeah, the rope to tie on his ankle so he can at least see where he's walking without like creating enough light that somebody's going to be like, "Ooh, there's people there."
Right. Oh, yes, this is your conjured rope, so it's giving off a glow. All right.
Yeah, it's it's low light in a 5-foot radius. So.
All right, Gildy, you can move yourself where you'd like.
And then
I'm just checking right. While in darkness, you are invisible to any creature that relies on dark vision to see you in the darkness.
And we decided you can turn that on or off. You can decide whether you want to be seen or not.
Yes.
Yes.
And so this time she would like to not be seen.
Yeah.
Leon is going to propose that Torok and Minuset take the front with perhaps Jacob and myself directly behind, as we are going into a place with magic, and having us near the front will be useful in case there is something of an arcane nature that needs our perusal.
Like a book?
Maybe.
All right, so where does Gildy...
But we're not here for treasures. We're not here for treasures. We're here for the magical circle.
Just hope there's not a book in view.
I'm just noticing we're not here for treasures was said more than once, almost as though it were a reminder.
Yes.
Oh, it was definitely a reminder.
So that is a door.
Ooh.
That's a door.
That is a door, and it very clearly has a weird sort of mural on it. But if you imagine one of those puzzles where you can move one piece at a time, and there's sort of always one open square, there is a puzzle lock that is sort of the entire front of the door, and you get the picture that once it's in the right place, it sort of will show an image of some sort.
Okay, so Gildy will signal to everyone that they can come ahead to where she is. And
people can start filling in. And yes, assuming that Leon would like to take a look at the puzzle door. It has mild enchantments on it, nothing that you think will hurt you. Probably mostly just whatever this puzzle is to unlock the door, that sort of thing.
Okay. Is it something, would I be able to attempt to solve the puzzle purely as a mental exercise so that I solve it in my head without actually affecting the door?
Yeah, and I'm not even going to make you roll for it. There is a DC for it. The DCs for these particular locks will only come into play if you're trying to open them quickly.
Okay.
So you essentially take some time, you sort of, you do it, with your mind, you start moving some pieces around, you put the lock in place. And yeah, it's this image of a sort of wizard in this, great epic pose with a flowing cloak and a staff of sort of pure ice. That you get the feeling this is Rashidar.
All right. So then, so I'll suggest to everybody, let's wait here. What I wish to do is merely attempt to solve this as a purely mental exercise, just to get practice with the kind of puzzles that we will be encountering. I will not actually solve the puzzle. I will just do it as a mental exercise so that then I will have had a little bit of practice. And then once I figure it out, then I'm like, it's Rashadan.
Yep. All right. So you managed to solve it and then actually solve it. And the door sort of slides back a little bit and then
But I wanted to do it just as purely a mental exercise and not.
We're able to do so.
I don't think she actually was solving it.
Yeah, I don't want to actually solve it. I just want to basically, again, I can remember everything that I've seen. So I look at the door and then in my mind shuffle the things around without actually making it shuffle around on the door.
Because we don't want anything to distract us from our mission,
okay.
I'm assuming.
You cannot go any other way. The end of this tunnel is blocked in front.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, never mind that.
Yeah, because it was like, no, go the path, don't go to the side. So then it's ooh.
She said, don't go left.
She did.
The big chamber you come to, don't go left.
Okay. So I think we were all just kind of figuring
I understand now.
This is the side. Okay. Then I guess it's not a mental exercise.
Yes.
Since we can't go anywhere, I will solve the puzzle for realsies.
All right.
I do, and once we have that picture of it's Rashadan, right?
Yep.
I am going to investigate that picture to see if there's anything with that picture that might give me any insight into how to open his book.
Give me an intelligence check.
Okay. And basically everything here now, I'm going to be looking for, any kind of anything. Yeah. Oh, again.
Well, that's okay.
No, but I mean, it's always where it's 17, no 10.
Yeah. I'm just going to open up the next sort of passageway in here. You think there's something, and it's probably from bits and pieces of what you're seeing and his symbol. He definitely had a lot to do with ice, which is slightly ironic being in a desert. But again, it wasn't a desert back in his day. Right. So you're thinking maybe there's sort of clues in there as well, in terms of things that might help to open your book eventually. So
yep. I just make mental note of anything. I will take the time to kind of look for clues and make mental note of it to then use in my future studies of trying to open this book.
Yep.
And get at the delicious, delicious magic inside.
Yeah. So when the door opens, there's a tunnel of about 20 feet, and then it opens up into a room. But again, you can sort of see straight forward from that to the other side of the room.
Okay.
All right. Gildy goes in. All right. So, decent sized room. There was a statue sort of right at the center of the room, sort of right where you would have come in, it's sort of crumbled. Now there is a door on the left. You get the feeling this is the door she was referring to. It also has a puzzle on it, but it's not sort of one of these big archways, not quite as grand. And there is also a tunnel there. So you can sort of see it goes down and then turns a little bit after that. So that is the straight tunnel you believe she was referring to. There are a couple dead people in this main chamber. One looks a lot more recent than the other. Probably still like a couple
Within
of
the
months
past
old.
decade? Oh, okay.
Yeah, versus the other one that looks like definitely a couple, years or decades old. It's just sort of, bones and moldering and that sort of stuff. So.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, that gives Gildy some pause, and so she's gonna like look around and see if she can see anything that's obviously a trap or anything of that nature.
Perception. Actually, and 15, that'll do. And actually, as any other people, I'm just going to double check some things. Massive, so I own.
Once we get into the room, Leon is definitely going to investigate the bodies to determine cause of death.
Yeah.
And spending habits.
And if they have any, interesting gear.
Exactly. What might they have purchased?
Yeah. So most of you, actually. So definitely Gildy and some of you others, without even needing to make a roll, sort of as you enter the room and start to look around a little bit, you can hear from that tunnel that you're supposed to go down a sort of low howling, moaning sound.
Happy moan or an unhappy moan?
To tell, just sort of a howling, moaning sound coming from down there.
Sounds scary. We should go left.
All right. Leon will definitely look longingly at the door for a minute and then investigate the corpses to see both what, if anything, useful they might have on them, and also to determine what, if anything, killed them.
Yeah.
Maybe they died of old age. Here,
and as a side note, if you zoom out on this map, you will see there is a decent amount of it. I did map out the whole thing, so I know what happens if you do go left. But yes, in terms of investigating the bodies,
I've been meaning to ask Alphonse if he could guide my investigation as well.
Sure, yeah. Alphonse is happy to help anybody anytime.
There you go. 17. The old body, not only does it seem like it, you get the impression that the old body, if it ever had anything, has probably been picked clean by some other people that have been passed, through here since then. The newer body, a couple of months, no, exactly. It also looks like other people have been here since that person died and have otherwise sort of taken anything interesting.
Okay, then I advise of this fact. Do I get a sense of what killed this person? Like, are there wounds?
Yes. There are bite marks and cut marks.
Okay. All right, cool.
And you rolled decently well with your investigation. The other people that did come this way, they went left.
But the door is closed again.
Yep.
Interesting. I share all of this information in detail, as I always do.
Talon is curious whether or not the witch and her fellow people have actually left.
You're going to go back out to the mouth of the tunnel and check?
Yeah.
Awesome. What you see, let me get you the right description here.
No, Talon, no. I think it makes the most sense if Talon kind of wanders off while Leon is thoroughly like, because if she noticed him wandering off, she would be like, no. But I think, yeah, I think she's
looting bodies.
She's exactly.
All right. So you're slightly confused for a moment because it was sort of the beautiful, elven woman and her sort of human companions. They're not there anymore. Instead, the woman has again still sort of a beautiful semi sort of elven looking upper body, but the lower body is this sort of snake-like, but also like lion-like claws that comes out of it. And yep, and the other men, they're all sort of have the heads of jackals and sort of claws, and yeah.
Now, I wasn't being super sneaky. Did they see me poke my head out to look?
Well, what is your passive stealth? If you take your stealth bonus and add it to 10, what does that come out to? 19? You're still sort of being sneaky.
Okay, good to know. So basically, Talon sneaks up on us all the time.
Yep.
Suddenly, we turn around and there's this giant guy there. It's like, oh.
It looks like you're a little ways back from sort of the mouth of the cave, and you're sort of looking around, and you get the feeling maybe one of them has seen you seeing them.
Gotcha.
But he sort of keeps his eye on you. What do you do?
Just creep my head back in behind so that I'm no longer visible. And Talon will just think on this for just a moment, and then he will rejoin, the group and kind of the core group of us.
Yep.
And to say, so the witch.
So none of you notice Talon leave. And suddenly Talon's back going, so the witch.
Where did you come from?
She's not an elf. She and all of those men, the men are no longer men. The men seem to be jackals or beastly. And she has these snake, serpent-like, lower body. Don't
forget the sort of semi-snake-like and long, but also sort of the legs of a lion with sort of claws.
All right, I forget about that. Yes.
Nature check to identify what they are.
They're like, very monstrous.
That's not an elf.
I feel like Leon is just overstimulated by being in this super magical place. She's just like overeager and is just like
somewhere that you're just always trying to figure out the book in the back of your mind. You're just taking up a lot of your mental energies right now.
What kind of check is it?
Nature.
What was that?
Of course, Melinda can roll a 16. I think that's my lowest
Alphonse is
roll.
a druid. Maybe he can.
Did you say it was a nature check?
I'm trying to think of what monsters. Telling what monsters are. If that's Arcana.
Well, I think Melinda at least knows what the guys are.
Plants and animals. I'm going to say it's actually Arcana.
Okay.
Yeah, his Arcana is not as good.
Alan did okay.
But for the dudes, for her minions, right? That would be a nature check, right?
Nope, they are not natural.
Oh.
So when it comes to Arcana, it's based on intelligence. Is that one of the ones that you have to learn in order to use it?
No, you can use it. Anybody can roll an intelligence check.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I use so I'd rolled for Melinda and I'd rolled only with a +2, but she actually has a +4 to Arcana. So can I use that same roll and just add 2 to it? So it would actually be Melinda would have a total of 20.
Okay. That's definitely going to be good enough.
Yeah, and I'll just leave my roll of a natural 1, which would be a 12 for Leon.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, Talon was specifically kind of telling more like the core group and not them, so...
Yeah.
I mean, we can bring them into it, by all means.
Well, I figure we'll just all group together in that main room, and it would be hard to talk to any of us without everybody hearing.
That's true.
Fair enough.
Yeah, enough people have rolled high enough. You are able to identify them as a Lamia and her sort of group of jackalwares.
Oh, goodness. I was thinking they were gnolls, but they're jackalwares.
They are jackalwares.
Oh, goodness. Okay, then.
All of which can either disguise or shape change into normal-looking people.
It could be an innocent misunderstanding. Maybe they did it because they thought that we might judge them.
Leon is going to go back to the door that we passed through and attempt to shut it and lock it behind us.
Yeah, I think you roll. Oh, no, you actually didn't actually roll because you took time. Give me an intelligence roll.
Alphonse, could you give me some guidance? I let him know what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. You're able to close it and lock it.
Oh, and now I get a 4. Okay, good. So yes, I close it and lock it behind us. At the very least, then, they will have some trouble getting to it. It will take some time for them to get to us. And hopefully we'll, would this make noise?
It would, but given how far out they are and everything else, you're not sure if they would have heard it.
Oh, no, but I mean, when they open it, will we hear them?
Oh, it made enough noise that you think if you're not, too much further in here, you should be able to hear it.
Do we think that they will wait more than 10 minutes before coming after us if they're going to do so? Because then I could cast alarm on the door, which would definitely alert me to if they open the door, but it would take 10 minutes, which might be more time than we wish to spend here.
10 minutes to cast?
Sorry,
as a ritual.
As a ritual.
The other problem is, do we trust her advice not to go left and straight and all of that? And
again, your insights checks were telling you she was telling the truth.
Yes.
She was actually being very honest about the fact that this is the direction to go, and you're going to be in danger when you go there.
Yeah, and she's just the danger.
No. No, there's actually other danger.
Yes, there's the howling.
Yeah.
You now get the sense, though, sort of thinking about things and sort of seeing this, that it's if you had second thoughts and didn't want to go in, that is when she might have otherwise decided to do something about that.
All right.
She only likes to eat cowards. Good to know.
I'm going to leave a letter.
Sternly worded letter?
No, for the next people who come through.
A Yelp review of...
I'm going to leave a letter
of
advising
Katya
them
and the cave.
That the witch is actually a Lamia, and the men in her entourage are actually jackalwares. However, she appears to be telling the truth. But be forewarned.
We think, we don't know.
I'm just imagining, in video games sometimes where you're going through and you find the letters. It's like, I think that this is the right way. I'm going to leave another letter later, and then you find the dead body.
We've discovered the origin of that.
No, but it's also in this really fancy hand, it's to whom it may concern.
Beautiful script.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful script. Very. Very formally written,
So I think Gildy suggests, she's like, well, I can cast alarm, and I don't mind using up one of Gildy's spell slots.
All right.
Everybody down.
Cast alarm. Whoa! Oh, sorry, my dog startled me.
Like Talon.
Your dog named Talon?
Yeah.
It has a 19 passive stealth.
Yeah. Okay. So Gildy's gonna cast alarm on the door.
Cool.
All right. All right. So we'll go a little bit further before we stop.
If I knew for sure they were coming through, I would totally, and in some kind of recent time span, I would totally cast grease on the other side of this door, and then fall down.
All right.
But I don't.
So, assuming you do continue onwards,
We do.
And Gildy is probably in the lead.
Mhm.
There's a sort of a roughly, the tunnel narrows to about 5 feet, goes out for 20, and then sort of turns the corner. It goes for another 20 odd feet, and then turns again to the right. And Gildy sort of creeps up to there. You can see that at the end of this leg of the tunnel, it sort of starts to open out. It looks like probably into a room of some sort. And that moaning is getting a little louder and a little louder.
Okay. So Gildy's probably just gonna go like
It's not a mooing. That sounds like a mooing. It's like, oh no.
Yes. Sorry. I meant mooing.
There's a spectral cow.
Must fight the death cow. All right. So you can see there's a room. And you can actually, from this angle, you can actually see almost directly across the room. There's a slightly caved in area and some sort of sand has come down and there's wind blowing across that. And you're like, oh, that's what the sound is. Yeah. It's sort of this wind that's sort of creating this sort of, jug effect of, blowing across this opening, and there's this sort of howling sound. However, this room is filled with a whole lot of dead people.
It's actually Jacob behind us with his jug.
Yeah, I've got, a few corpses sort of on the map, but there's probably a good half a dozen to 10 or 12, like in various different stages. Like some have been here for ages and just are sort of, a couple of bones, and some are sort of more recent in this area. And
all right, I'm going to investigate again, and I request that Alphonse.
So you're going into this room? So you're currently slowly looking at the room.
So eventually, assuming we enter this room, when we do, I will investigate the corpses.
Okay. So like at the opening to the room, like
yep.
so Gildy sees like the area where the wind seems to be coming through, and she's like, oh, okay, so I guess that was the weird noise we heard. It wasn't a thing. But then she also sees the bodies, and so she's a little bit on edge, and so from the door to the room, she's just gonna like look around to see if she can see anything that's obviously like
and you can see down
ready to murder them.
And here. You can see that it does continue on in sort of a 10-foot hallway on the other side. You're not seeing anything that would be of particular nastiness.
Okay, in which case she just kind of like summons everyone and says that it seems to be clear, and she does specify that there seems to be like a passage on the other side, and she's not sure what's through there, but there's this little opening.
All right.
Has she advised us that it's the howling of the wind is what's making that sound?
Has she mentioned?
No, I think that everyone else would. Like,
but yeah, you get this. She comes back like much calmer. It's like, oh yeah, it's fine. There's a room. There's a bunch of dead people, but
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, she's worried, but she's like not worried about the room itself.
So, describe to me the order and the sequence of how you come into this room.
I think if there's enough light, Tor's happy to go first,
okay.
And Tor's actually going to cast.
Oh, go ahead.
If Tor goes first, if we all agree Tor goes first, he's going to cast Detect Magic as he goes in.
Okay. I was going to propose that like Gildy might have just kind of like been in the lead just so she could kind of like peek down the hallway.
All right.
That's fair.
I think Leona's going to be behind Torok so when we're at this point, is Leon able to identify the source of the howling?
Yes.
Okay. Then Leon says, "Oh, one moment," and she runs back into that room.
The other room?
The other room. She picks up her letter and writes, "P.S. That howling sound is just the wind," and explains what it is.
All right.
And then comes back.
All right. Who's after Leon, or otherwise wants to be with Leon?
Don't everybody.
Oh, I think Alphonse would have.
I'll most likely be going
been
with Tor
closely
again.
behind.
So.
All right. Tor.
Well, so
and-
if Torok goes into the room first, Torok, if you will allow it, then I can transport you out of here if there are difficulty back to safety here.
That seems reasonable.
All right.
Still dark. Wasn't Torok the only one without dark vision?
Yes, but
because of that hole in the ceiling, there's just enough light in here that you can sort of see the room, and he'd be able to sort of navigate this room just fine. Around the corner, he might start having troubles again. But he's also got the little bit of light around his foot, so we can at least see where he's going and see that there's floor underneath where he's stepping and those sorts of things. All right.
And he's got
Dylan,
detect
I guess
magic on
you're
him.
bringing up the rear, and then we've got...
Oh, and actually on the way as well, definitely would have taken a moment to say to Talon, now, no, I know that in the past I've said that it's not great when you run off on your own and things. However, in this case, well done. And I clap him on the shoulder.
All right.
Thanks.
So I will take some liberties here just to set the scene, and you can let me know if I'm moving you incorrectly. So yes, Tor sort of moves into the room a little bit, perhaps maybe to about there, to sort of look down the next tunnel and see what he can see. And not having dark vision, you can't see too much. There's enough light that you can see that it sort of does continue on. I have to go to the feel. A little bit past that.
Or it would also
assuming-
be glowing if there's any actual magic in the area.
Yes. Yep. Gildy, again, probably is sort of roughly keeping pace. Again, trying to look into the darkness and see what's there as well.
Well, but we have Torok go first, because then I can bring him back to us instant, and I can only do that with one person.
All right. So Gildy, are you going in at all, or are you going to sort of wait or just give you a little bit behind?
I think that despite the meta concern I have about this room, Gildy has done enough that she's not concerned about the room. Okay. So I think she's just going to go in.
Okay. All right. So I'll put you there.
Okay. Can we see that Gildy has gone into the room?
Yep.
Okay. Then at that point, Leon, since this room is safe, then Leon is going to ask Alphonse, could you assist me? And then do the investigating of the corpses.
All right. So we'll assume you move in a little bit. Alphonse moves in with you. Sort of others are probably starting to file in as well. We'll put the down there. Yeah, all right.
Sweet.
So
my investigation is a 25.
Your investigation is interrupted.
No! I was finding all of the things.
When a spirit appears.
How rude.
And that's where we'll pick up next time.
So it's just the wind, huh? Spirit.
Well, it's just smart enough not to make noise.
Nice.
Yes, so we shall see what happens with this guardian spirit the next time we join up with you folks, which still going to be a couple of weeks, and I think that's well enough before the holidays that we can allow one more session in there. But yes, thank you for joining us for tonight, and until then, you guys take care and keep safe.